I'm recording this video on February 28th because today, unfortunately, something happened that many people believed was impossible. Geopolitical tension escalated in the Middle East. Military strikes, retaliations, and the ripple effect reached a region that many investors, entrepreneurs, and high net worth individuals considers a safe haven. The United Arab Emirates, Dubai, a place where thousands of international entrepreneurs have relocated, a place where many of our clients hold residency, a place where significant capital is stored. And within hours, messages started arriving in thousands. Should I be worried? Can accounts be frozen? Can governments impose restrictions? What happens if capital controls are introduced? And this is exactly why I'm making this video. I'm Matteo Maglia, partnership manager at GloboBanks, the banking introduction company for international accounts. Today I want to give you 3 extremely practical principles. Not theory, not fear, not politics, structure. Because in moments of geopolitical tension, governments move fast. Banks move faster. And if you try to react after the system tightens, it's already too late. Let's start with the first principle. You need multiple plan A's. Not a plan B, not a plan C. Multiple plan A's. Most people say, I have a backup plan. But what does actually mean? If all your liquidity is sitting in one single bank account, even a prestigious jurisdiction, you don't have a strategy. You have exposure. It doesn't matter whether that account is personal, corporate, trust, foundation. If one institution freezes, reviews, limits or delays transaction, your operational life stops. Now, imagine you hold 1 million. Putting 1 million in one single jurisdiction is not strategy. It's concentration risk. A more intelligent model, 3 high-level jurisdictions. For example, Switzerland, Singapore, and another strong banking hub. If you have 3 properly structured relationships, 3 independent jurisdictions, you are no longer exposed to one single political or regulatory shock. And here is something very important. The United Arab Emirates is a relatively young financial hub. It has grown fast, very fast. It has attracted massive capital, but it does not have the same 200 or 300-year historical resilience as Switzerland. History matters in banking. Switzerland has survived wars, crises, systemic collapses. Dubai has had incredible growth, but it is still young, like in a few decades. That doesn't make it bad. It just means you should not put 100% of your capital there. Maybe like the 30%, maybe a third, but not everything. If you cannot afford a free jurisdiction, then at least 2. That is the bare minimum. Because if one jurisdiction becomes temporarily restrictive, you must be able to move immediately. Which brings us to the second principle. Not all backup accounts are real backup accounts. This is where most people make fatal mistake. They open multiple accounts, but inside the same bank group. Classic example. Someone opens accounts with HSBC in the UAE, then opens HSBC Premier in the UK, or in the United States, for example. They think, I have diversification in jurisdictions, but no, you are under the same umbrella. If one account is frozen for compliance review, enhanced due diligence, geopolitically risk assessments, the entire relationship is flagged. Both accounts can be restricted simultaneously. Barclays does it. HSBC does it. Standard Chartered does it. Many global banks worldwide do it. If they are connected in the international system, your diversification is an illusion. So, what is the solution? True separation. Different banking groups, different risk departments, different internal compliance structures, and most importantly, understanding correspondent relationships. Because here is something people don't think about. In a moment of tension, speed matters. If you need to move like 500k quickly, where can you send it without being blocked? Not all jurisdictions work well together. For example, the UAE does not always move funds easily outward. Transfer can be delayed. Enhanced checks can be triggered. Some countries are hesitant to receive large transfers from certain Middle East jurisdictions during tension periods. Panama, for example, does not always love receiving funds from the UAE. Singapore works well with the UAE. The United States move capital differently. Europe also has its own structure. These are things that you must understand before crisis, not during the crisis. If your plan B cannot receive funds quickly from your plan A, then it is not a usable plan B. This is why jurisdiction pairing matters. You don't choose accounts based on what your friend did. You choose based on speed of capital movement. correspondent relationships, regulatory alignment, historical behavior under stress. And now, the third principle, systematically important banks. In extreme scenarios, and I'm talking about real systemic shocks, not all banks are equals. There are banks so large, so integrated into national economies that if they fail, the state collapses. These are called systemically important financial institutions. Some are important at a national level, some at a global level. In a severe crisis, the probability that a small boutique bank collapses is higher than that of a global systemic institution. For example, UBS has a massive global presence in more than one country, hundreds of billions under management, deep integrations into global financial architecture, and more. Or institutions like Pictet, for example, operating since the 17th centuries of history, more than 300 years of history, hundreds of billions under management. These are not speculative fintech startups. These are PRs. That does not mean you should only use massive global banks, but at least one of your capital storage accounts should be in a systemically relevant institution. Because if we ever face a true global shock, governments will prioritize stabilizing systemic bank first. This is not emotion. This is political reality. Now, let's bring back to today. When missile flies, when geopolitical tensions escalates, when headlines explode, markets react, oil moves, currencies fluctuate, risk departments resist exposure, government coordinate behind closed doors. And in these moments, those who are prepared sleep. Those who are concentrated panic. This is not about abandoning Dubai. It's not about fleeing the Middle East. It is about structure, having multiple plan A's, having real separation between banking groups, choosing jurisdictions that can actually communicate and move funds efficiently, including at least one systemically important institution in your portfolio. Many people focus on like second passports, residencies, corporate structures, all intelligence moves for sure. It's important also have more than one residence, but they forget the most important question: where is your money actually sitting? Not legally, physically. In which jurisdictions, under which regulator, under which risk department, and under which correspondent structure. Because when governments move fast, your passport does not transfer your liquidity. Your company does not transfer your liquidity. Your bank account does. And if it is restricted, you are stuck. If you want to structure it properly, if you want a real analysis of which jurisdictions fits your profile, which institutions are viable for your residents, which combinations allow fast capital movement, and how to diversify without creating internal leakage risk, there is a link below for a free senior level consultation. We analyze over 20 factors before suggesting any banking relationship. We tell you the exact institution, the jurisdictions, the structure, and most importantly, what not to do. Because in times like this, intelligence beats panic, preparation beats reaction, and structure beats hope. The world is changing faster than most people are comfortable admitting. Make sure your money is structured accordingly, because safety is not where you live. It is where your capital sleeps. And that is the part you must control.